Hi, my name is Phil, and this is Filling in the Blanks. About a year and a half ago, I made a video about the 2024 Ski-Doo Enduro with the 900 Ace Turbo 130 horsepower model. And I walked through the sled from back to front and pointing out all the differences between what the Enduro is versus what the regular Adrenaline is, or the other models for that matter. I was coming off of an Arctic Cat 7000 series. I also had a Yamaha Viper in the past, and I was looking for a bit of a change, and so I figured moving over to Ski-Doo was a good option. Very comparable as far as what the engine was, 130 horsepower. That video was to answer all of the questions that I couldn't find. I just received my sled. I'd done a lot of close-ups on the track, on the Carbides, and I really pointed out again what the differences were, what there was a lot of misinformation that was out there. Please go check out that video. It's quite detailed as far as a good walkthrough from like I said, end to end of the sled. Now that I've been through, we'll call it a season and a half. 2 seasons ago really wasn't that great of a season. Now that I have some good riding in, I have just over 3,000 kilometers on the sled now. I have a pretty good impression of what it is, what it can do, what it doesn't do. This video is again to address those points that you see posted on the forums, on Facebook groups, differences about the carbides and setup of the machine, what works, what doesn't work. Everybody has an opinion. This is my opinion. This is, again, this video is intended to help you decide for yourself, is this the right sled for you? Or maybe some suggestions if you already have this sled or close to it, what you can do to improve yours. All right, so we're going to start from the back of the sled and move our way to the front, just like we had done in the past, and talk about each feature and see if I liked it or if I didn't like it, or if I'm just going to live with it and go from there. So first here is the track. This has the Ice Ripper track on it. There's a lot of comments and discussion around the quality of the track and how much traction you actually get. I've driven in many different types of conditions, from basically pure ice to extremely low snow to lots of snow. It's 1.25 inches. So from a hookup standpoint, if you get your suspension right, it actually does hook up fairly decent, at least with the 130 horse model. When it comes to traction, it's concerned, the built-in studs, you can see them here, you definitely notice the difference between this and a non-studded track. It certainly is not a direct replacement for full studs. It's not quite that aggressive, but it's certainly, you definitely can tell when you want to put on the brakes, or if, again, on an acceleration on more of an icy surface. They're there, they help. For myself, I think it's great. It's a really good blend between the two. You can still whip the back end around a corner if you wanted to. It's very playful without for this current setup. If we went with full studs, you would lose that kick out of the back. Again, if you're looking for that, if you want to do that, it allows you to do that. But if you don't, again, it's enough traction there to keep you nice, steady and planted. So the next thing, if we move up, is the weight transfer block here. So we have our settings 1 through 4. This I extremely like. I like it a lot. It's really easy to change on the fly. Again, this is not particular to the Enduro, but it is very different compared to the Arctic Cat setups, or Yamahas for that matter. And just by pushing the button at the bottom, and then you can quickly rotate the block. So my experience with this, I've ridden it on all settings. And to get the hookup, the traction that I am looking for, I run it down at 1. I basically full weight transfer to the back, lets the skis come up a bit, and I hook up and I go. Anything above that, 2 is okay. 2 is for probably a little bit less aggressive of a rider. 3 and 4, in my opinion, is for myself. I'll never use it. As we move up here, I do have the ice scratchers. Again, this was an add-on, but this is the BRP ice scratchers, the tunnel mounted ones. I really like the nice and easy to deploy and hook back up again. And I mean, they did a great job. It was the times that were extremely low snow conditions, which was the not this previous season here, but the 24 winter. Really needed them down all the time. So it's nice, easy to deploy, and easy to put back up, which that's what I was looking for. As it relates to temperatures on the sled, I might as well note that now. I never experienced high temperatures on the trail. The only time I experienced high temps was just when it's sitting in my garage idling. If I let it idle way too long, when I was initially doing updates on the sled, that's where I ran into some overheating issues. But nothing more than that. Trail riding, it was all great. So next we have the actual slides. This was a concern of mine going from the Arctic Cat chassis, where I believe it was 13,000 kilometers on my Viper that I had that didn't go through a single set of sliders as the original sliders on it when I sold it. And even my next Arctic Cat was really good on them. So again, I was concerned about this. Is it are they going to burn through them or not? My first ride out, yeah, you smelt them just as they're breaking in. But since then, again, they're in excellent shape. I have no concerns over slider wear on this whatsoever. The skid, the area within the skid, this is a gripe of mine, is that it collects a lot of snow and slush. To the point where it causes vibration in the chassis, very noticeable vibration in the chassis. So the areas that it'll collect in is up front, anywhere on the insides of the skid, and obviously up in the tunnel itself. I mean, up in the tunnel is fairly common, but that's not really where the issue is. That you can easily bang that out. The issue is more in the rails themselves, and it collects and it starts binding up with your track, and you end up getting fairly significant vibration in inner feet. Now, again, that's pretty relative term as far as what's significant. For other riders, other sleds, you may not even notice it. Coming from the Arctic Cat chassis, it's significant. It's very noticeable. You feel that there's actually something wrong with it. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it collects, again, the snow and slush, it hardens, and a couple hours in on your ride, you start feeling that vibration kick in. Next is the air shock. That is the big thing. That's the item here that makes an enduro an enduro. That's the main component that people are looking for. Now, how does that... my other video, I made a demonstration there from the level 1 to level 5, and where does that leave me in as far as what was my setup on this? It was pretty common for people to say that they ride at number 2 for the air setting. That's exactly what I had done, and I had tried at 1, tried a higher, and I would go between 2 and 3. 2 was the most plush. It really is the most comfortable for me. Now, the reasons why I would go to 2, and again, that's what makes the enduro a little more special, is that you can raise it up a notch to add more air in that brings up the ride height of the back, and that's how it compensates for the gear that you're carrying. So if I was carrying a full load here, as far as a full tank of gas, and one of my bags that was just full, then I'd bring it up to 3 just to compensate for that weight. And again, that's really nice on the fly adjustments. And hey, you dump your gas can, your jerry can into the tank. Well, you have less weight on the back. You just quickly change your setting, and now you're riding back to where you were. So from that aspect, I love it. It's really, really nice. Now that I've mentioned all the good about the AirShock, let's go to the not so good aspect of it. When you're reading in the forums or again the Facebook comments, you get some people that are very strong about it's a terrible shock, and just go for an XRS or something like that, and you'll be much happier with the ride. The bad side about the AirShock is that it's the dampening on it. When you start talking about going over large moguls, the larger bumps on the trail, uh, it's terrible, just terrible. And when I'm talking about larger moguls, I'm talking about stuff that's at least that high off. So we're talking 18, 20 inches of if the trail is just blown out and you're trying to power through them, this is not the sled for that. In fact, it is very, very discouraging and upsetting when you're going over it. What happens is the back will start bucking up on you, and you go over the mogul, and your back basically catapults. You'll actually get air off the back end. And I was playing with the settings a lot. So anybody thinking that, well, no, your air was too high. Well, no, because I brought that rate down to 1. I brought it right up to 5, and they had very different effects. You bring it down to 1, yes, it softens it, but then you just bottom the sled out. So you can't power through it. Now you have to bring up your air pressure to compensate. And the more you bring it up, the more that catapult effect happens to you. So that was really discouraging. But I only had one of those rides in the season. For the most part, the trails were well groomed, and the days that they weren't so good, they were just more chatter bumps than anything, or maybe 6 inches of moguls, and that this thing flies through nicely. It's buttery smooth going through it. That's exactly what I wanted the sled for. So to say that I had 15, 20 kilometers of horrible riding on this sled this year, or for the life of the sled for me, over the 3,000 I have on the sled, it's I guess I have to put that into the just accept it the way it is. And if the trails were constantly blown out and large moguls that I would traditionally power through, this I would definitely switch out that shock. But that's not the case. We're talking, like I said, 1% of my riding was like that. So overall, air shock, it's done exactly what I wanted. Nice plush ride. I wanted to take that edge off, the edge that I would get with the Arctic Cats, that every little chatter bump you would feel it. Nothing significant, but it was there, and they added up. They added up quickly. Well, this back end, this shock, really smoothed that rate out, and it was a lot less body fatigue by the end of the day. So the gauge the hand cluster here. Again, there's a lot of information. A lot of people don't like it. This is definitely going to be a personal preference type of thing. This is where I stand with it. I think they overcomplicated it. I think there's too many buttons that are on here, and it doesn't come natural to where especially these upper ones are, because you are reaching up to get them. So you do have to look down. I'm sure some people got it, muscle memory, that sort of thing, but I haven't got it yet. The only things that we'll say come natural are the ones where, this is where things are typically placed, not up here. So these are the ones that I struggle with. Flipping through screens and settings, that sort of thing. Again, I think things are just overcomplicated. I don't really have a suggestion of how to improve that. The one thing that they did do, and it was in my last video, was up here with your handlebar warmers, where the original software for the sled, the handlebar and the thumb warmers were linked together. So when you pressed it and then you moved up or down on the levels, that moved both your hands and your thumb together. There was a lot of complaints over that, and what you had to do is in the settings you set a balance of, you wanted them equal, so basically both would be on medium, or wherever you move things up, if you moved it up, they would both be at the same level. But you could set that balance to say that I wanted my thumb warmer to be less hot than my handlebar warmers. Well, the thought was, I guess, okay, but it really didn't work out. So this latest software update, they did change it, which is great. I'll start up the sled and I'll show you. Basically, this same set of buttons does both now, where you press your handlebar button and then you can move up and down your handlebar. If you press it again, then now you're in the thumb mode and you can move it up and down. So I'll bring up the screen here and I'll demonstrate that. Okay, I'll try to do this before the low battery kicks in here. So if I press this once, and you can see that no handlebars are on, I'm going to raise it up, and here go halfway. Fantastic. I'm going to press it again. So we're in handlebars. I'll press the same button again, and now we're on the thumb armor, and now I can independently. So basically, as you press that button, it'll toggle between, here's the handlebar armor, there's the thumb armor. So this is a much better setup than what they had. 2 separate buttons is preferred, but this, I think they did a good job of listening to their customer base and coming back with a response to that. I think this is a really good, acceptable solution to what was in there. The screen itself is a topic all in itself. And if you're doing, again, any more reading about it, you're going to see people that praise it, and you're going to see people that will absolutely just tear it apart as far as its functionality and how it compares to the Polaris. I don't think that's really a fair comparison. BRP really tried to take a different angle than what Polaris had done with theirs. And I think they were actually quite successful in it. And I'll tell you what my experiences are. I have definitely some good stories on it and some bad stories on it. So first off, I really like that, it's a nice big screen. The screen itself, as far as being touch sensitive and how quick it moves between the screens, I think it's acceptable. It definitely has some lag to it, but nothing significant. So nothing really to complain about there. It does what it needs to do. When it comes to the mapping system, so this is the Model 24 year, so the My 24. In 25, they added a GPS option. So I bought the GPS module for it. I installed it. Probably took me about 45 minutes. If I was to do it again, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And that allowed you to run the sled, the GPS, without having your phone attached to it. What kind of changed along the way, at least how it seemed to me, was that that you would be able to navigate your maps with the system alone without having things tethered. What ended up happening for me, I live here in Ontario. I ride the OFSC trails. The OFSC trails were not available without your phone plugged in. So it kind of defeated the purpose for me. So I really had no use for it without the trails being there. Again, I don't think that was just a me thing. Maybe this will change in the future. Maybe it is just a me thing, but the trails themselves were not on. I had to tether the phone for the trails to show up. Maybe this is different in other provinces or states, but that's how the experience was for me. So really that GPS module turned out to be useless for me. With the phone tethered to it, I have good experiences, I have bad experiences. We'll start with the bad. It would lock up my entire 10-inch screen often. And what I believe I've narrowed this down to is the cable and the phone that I'm using. Nothing wrong with the phone, nothing particularly wrong with the cable. What seems to happen is if things are bouncing around in the glove compartment there where you slide your phone into, what it appears to me anyways is that the moment that there's a less than desirable connection to the phone, the screen kind of freaks out and it'll lock up. Your map stops moving, and you can shift around on some screens, and then it goes to the point where I actually get a screen layered on top of a screen. So I could be on my map screen, but then I'm going to have speedometer components that are displayed over top of the map. Some really funky things happen with that. So the only way to reset things is to stop the sled, turn the sled off, wait for the screen to shut down completely, and then start up the sled and then try it again. Again, on a really bad day, this would happen every 5-10 minutes, and I just give up on it and then keep going. I've tried multiple phones, multiple cables, and this is where I'm saying that I believe that this is more of a connection issue, where I've had much better experiences, again, with different cables. It still happens, but happens once a day rather than every 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're having that problem, swap out your cable. Start there. What it again appears to me is that there's not enough tolerance within the software to, if there's a connection that's lost, it doesn't retry. It doesn't try to reestablish that connection before causing issues on the display. So I'll see with they had just come out with that version 4 update. I was running 3.01 over the winter. I believe it's 4.01 right now. So I'll see next season if they've already addressed that, or if that's still something that has to be addressed. So I would say my number one complaint was connectivity issue with the phone. Again, I believe that it was very much related to the cable itself. So with that, let's move on to some better things about it. This is where things differed from Polaris, and I think this is the angle that BRP was trying to hit, and I believe they're quite successful with it. The other riders that I ride with, I mean, you can see the other sleds that I have in the garage here, are not Ski-Doos. So my fellow riders often log into the BRP app, the BRP Go app, even though that they're riding a Yamaha or Arctic Cat or Polaris, and we join the group ride together. So I can still see them on the trail on my big display because they're logged in on their phone. That's a big difference and a different philosophy from how the Polaris has worked. The Polaris, as being direct communication, has a limit, a distance that you can go before they stop talking to each other. I don't remember what that is offhand, but at the end of the day, it's not huge, not if you're going on a big ride. So assuming, this is a big assumption, that you are still in LTE or cellular range and everybody's phones are talking, it works really well. Somebody could be 2-3 kilometers behind you and you can still see them on the map. Because again, if you look behind you, you don't see anybody. You don't have to stop. Did anything happen to them? But you look down and, oh yeah, people are still coming. Keep on moving. There's no need to stop. I think that worked out really well. I think they nailed it on that. And having other people within your group be able to be on the group ride, they can see where you are. You can see where they are. When you're meeting up in the morning, I think that's helped out a lot. I really like that feature. So this year in the 26 models, they've added the vehicle-to-vehicle communication. So obviously won't be able to test that. That's that GPS module that I installed. That was kind of useless to me. Well, it's the same module. It's the newer version of that module, so I'll have to rebuy it if I want to do that. Again, I don't have any other Ski-Doo riders that are in my group, so I don't think I'm going to do it right away. And we'll see what other people come back with. And again, if others join my group with Ski-Doos, maybe that's a consideration for me. Let's move to the front of the sled. A difference here that you might note from my previous video is I did put on the Quella Pieces roller skis. Just so a complete side, I guess, topic on that. I really do like them. They work out well. I'll probably do a complete separate video on those roller skis, how they work, how easy or difficult they were to install. We'll cover that off there. So, but the focus here is again on the sled itself. This is the front end. That was the first thing I noticed with this sled. I must say I was disappointed with it. The rear end of this sled, the plushness of it, the ride quality of it, short of the big moguls I was talking about in specifically the Enduro, I absolutely love the rear end of this. The front end of this, in comparison, coming off of the Arctic Cat lineup, is twitchy. Again, this is a 24. So they have announced the new, is it the RX, I believe, front end for these sleds. It's twitchy. It feels like a geometry issue. It's not a carbide setup issue, a ski pressure issue. I have those issues as well. I'll get to those in a second. But the stability of the front end, how predictable the front end is, I was disappointed with. Not saying that it's terrible, it's not a rideable sled, but there is a significant, clear difference between riding these sleds back to back. Coming into a corner, riding that corner out, it's not as stable, not as predictable as the Arctic Cats are. Not bad, just it was disappointing to me for sure. Something I'll have to do something about. What makes the Enduro the Enduro? Well, again, the air shock in the back and the adjustable skis. The adjustable carbides. So again, on the Enduros, they have the adjuster where you can push that carbide way down or pull it way up, and as you need on adjust for conditions on the trail. Again, go watch my other video if you haven't seen it yet with details on that. I do a full demonstration of this so you can see how many clicks it takes to go down, how deep that carbide actually goes down. So here's my experience with them. Are they adjustable? Yes. Does it make a difference? Absolutely. Every single click in that makes a difference. I ride somewhere around 6 clicks or so down, somewhere in that neighborhood, but I'm adjusting it, constantly adjusting it. So what I found with at least the stock setup of this is that it's a very, very narrow window. There is no set it and forget it. There's no set it for a day and ride the entire day on that setup. You can obviously, but you're going to notice a big difference of how much bite your front end is going to have. Are you pushing through the corners, or is it too much bite? And again, how much tracking or otherwise just undesirable effects, we'll say, on the trail that it has. So with this setup, with those adjustable carbides, I find that to ride at its best, you are always adjusting it. And every couple of hours, as the temperatures warm up or cool down or whatever the case is, the trail gets torn up, you're making those adjustments. Not that it's difficult. You stop for a break, you jump off the sled, and you go turn the knob 1 or 2 clicks, and you're set. And again, you got to do that on both sides. For me, what I like more of I want adjustability, but I do want to set it and forget it. And these are definitely not it. They do have longer carbides that you can get from BRP. I suspect that'll make a fairly decent improvement to this. I have not done it. I was tempted. I almost did, but I've chosen a different path. I'm going with the snow trackers, which removes this system. I didn't want to go that path. You pay extra for the TX ski with the adjustability on it. And really the snow trackers are going to be removing all that. It's going to be a loss of money basically for that. But for my style, I do want to do a set it and forget it. I've had different combinations in the past. Snow trackers are it for me. I guess what I didn't talk about was power. So 130 horsepower. This was, again, another big thing is, am I going to be happy with this? This is turbo versus the naturally aspirated. When it comes to throttle response between the two, Yamaha all the time. 10 out of 10 times, it'll always win when it comes to throttle response. That's something that everybody will agree with, that they've nailed it. They've nailed it from day one with going back to the RX-1 days. They've always did that the best. You have 3 modes. You have your eco mode, your standard mode, and your sport mode. Eco mode, again, really limits things. It's really, really, really laggy, but it's nice. It takes that jerkiness out if you're going through a lot of winding throughout the trails. So I do run eco mode maybe 20% of the time. Standard, I've grown out of it. I'll say my first 1,000 clicks or so, I did quite a bit under standard, but I don't anymore. I'm between sport and eco. To me, standard, for my riding style, there's no spot for it. When it's in sport mode, you gain a lot more of that throttle response. It is not the same as the Yamaha engine, but I wouldn't say it's pretty close, but I mean, it's call it 80% there. It's much better. It's not as big of an issue as I thought it might be in the end. Eco mode, yeah, that's and standard mode for that matter. I would be looking through for another engine. If it was based off throttle response, if that's, if standard was the best it'll do. But no, I keep it in sport most of the time. There's a decent throttle response on it, and again, acceptable for me. The fuel economy was another concern of mine. Biggest reason for my concern was that the turbo models require premium fuel, requires 91 octane gas, where the 1049 Yamaha engines were just regular 87 octane gas. That's a big difference at the fuel pumps. So I was concerned that not only have the prices of sleds increased, but now I'm going to get a larger fuel bill potentially. Here's the reality. This is what I've come to the conclusion of over the 3,000 kilometers of riding. If I'm riding in economy mode, again, you take a lot of the fun snappiness out of it, but you don't need that on all the rides, or at least not if you're doing a lot of whipping around on the trails. You don't have that opportunity to whip out of a corner, because the next one's right there. So economy mode works really well through that. Well, when you're on economy mode, you're saving fuel. In those cases, I am roughly from a dollar figure perspective, about 10% less dollars to run the Ski-Doo than it does to run the Yamaha engine. From a liter's standpoint, the amount of fuel consumed, obviously that's a decent amount of fuel that it's using less than the 1049 under the same scenarios. If I put this under sport, and we're riding much longer, faster trails, I still win. Not by much, but I do. I am the more aggressive rider, but at the same time, we stay together throughout the trails. I'm just a little heavier on the throttle, coming out of corners and that sort of thing. I still come out ahead. I would say somewhere more around the 5% better than the Yamaha engine. So I'm quite happy with that. So it takes premium fuel. Obviously, the cost per liter is more. That's what my concern was. But at the end of the day, it's using less fuel than I did before, which then balances things out, and I'm still ahead a bit. So I'm quite happy with the fuel savings. Number of kilometers per tank. This absolutely depends on everything. With the temperature, the condition of the trails, did it snow last night, all that sort of thing. The best I get out of my sled for a tank of fuel is 240 kilometers. I do not go past that. That's when I fill it up at the gas pump. I've been running on fumes. It takes every liter to fill it. So 240 is the absolute max. I would say on average, when you do have more fuel hungry rides, faster riding, that sort of thing, that I'm down into the 220 range. I think once I was down 200, but that was because I was doing a lot of off-trail riding, and it needed obviously that much more fuel. So that's my range, 200 to 240 at its top end. If I was planning out a trip, as far as where I needed to fuel, I would aim for a gas station, 200, 210 clicks, and that would give me a reserve to have just in case something happened there. And obviously with the Link jerry can in the back, my main reason for carrying the Link jerry can is not for the Ski-Doo, it's for the Arctic Cat, because there's no storage on that. Which again, that was a big improvement that I had seen going from that chassis to this one. The Link system, the way they come set up for that, they're designed for the add-ons, the accessories. BRP knocks that out of the park. So good job on that. The only disadvantage that I'd say is that you have a shorter seat. So whereas I do miss that with the Arctic Cat line, is that you have the longer seat. If you had to carry a passenger with you, adult or child or whatever the case is, you had to get out of the bush or whatever that scenario is, you could fit two people. Not the most comfortable, but you could fit two people on that seat. There's absolutely no way you're fitting two people on the seat. It is one person, and that's it. That's all. So I'm a little bit all over the map here, but since I'm bringing up the seat, two things I'll mention. One, the comfort of it. It's a lot more cushy than the both Yamaha and Arctic Cat setup. Again, that helps with the plushness in the back. I was looking for that, and I got it. That's good. Second is the heated seat. On the other three sleds that I've ridden on the Arctic Cat chassis side, that heated seat, it's you turn it on and you wouldn't have anything for half hour, 40 minutes, and when it kicked in, it was blazing hot. And I really never knew what was actually high and low. I could set the switch where I thought it would be low, and I'd be up, say, standing up because it was just so hot, turn it off, let it cool down. And that was on 3 different sleds across 6 model years. It was not my setup. That's what I'm getting at. BRP does a much better job at that. You can put it on low, you can leave it on low for the entire day. You can put it on high, you feel it warm up, you got to turn it down to low, put it down to low. None of this, you have no heat, and then you get blazing hot. That's not a thing with these seats. So again, another really nice step forward with it. Wind protection along the side of the sled, I was concerned about that. There was, when they came out, I believe it was at the Gen 4s where they eliminated the side here. There was complaints about reduced wind protection. Going from that chassis to this one, I feel that this one has more wind protection than the Arctic Cat did. The Arctic Cat, I always felt it just coming up between the legs. I don't get that at all with the Ski-Doo. So I can't compare to the Polaris, but I can say between those 2 models, wind protection is definitely better on the Ski-Doo. So thanks very much for watching this video, the follow-up to my original one. Again, if you haven't seen the original, please go back and watch it. I think it did a pretty good detail overview of what that sled is, all the options to it. Again, this is Phil with Filling in the Blanks. I'm trying to answer the questions that seems to have a lot of conflict or no answers to that are on Facebook and other forums and other YouTube videos. So if you like the video, do the whole like and subscribe thing. Thank you very much.